Can we start now? Excellent, okay. So, hi, welcome everyone. I'm Javier Marti. Thank you for coming, first of all. I really appreciate that you're here today. I understand that there was another speaker in another room, and you chose to be here with me, so you're my team, kind of. So, yeah, well done. Whatever reason you came here today, that must be a success of my marketing somehow. So that's good because we're going to be talking about marketing. In this presentation, I aim to give you a little bit of a wider picture. I understand that many of you are, and let me ask you, are you all game developers, or can you raise your hands? Are you all programmers, game developers? Yeah? How many? Okay, that's what I want to know. And the ones that are not, raise your hands now. So I see. Okay, so I'm going to ask some couple of people, okay, don't worry, not too many. What exactly do you do if you are not a game developer? So I have an idea of who my audience is today. So can I ask you, you're not, right?
I'm a writer.
You're a writer, okay. Another person there? Someone, yeah? I can't hear you. Third, patent attorney. Okay, very interesting. Okay, and someone else on this side here that is not a game developer? Anyone here? No? It's all game developers. Okay, good. So, my name is Javier Marti. I'm a trend forecaster, consultant, writer, author, speaker. And today here I'm going to talk mainly about the things that I have been learning and following on my blog, which is called trendynews.com. For about 7-8 years now I've been following future trends. Well, actually longer than that, but only 8 years through the blog. It contains about 2,000 articles on future trends, and these are the things that we're going to be talking about here today. Okay, we're going to go very, very fast, so bear with me. I am known for what I call machine gun delivery, so make sure that you don't blink because you may miss something, and if I bore you with the slides, I hope not, but it may happen, so concentrate on something else. Let's go right away into it. I appreciate also if you want to tweet or do that sort of thing, that's okay. The thing is at Javier Marti. It's how you can identify me there. But it may be better for you if you just pay attention to the presentation, and then you can share it if you choose, or you can share specific quotes as we go along. Okay, I understand I should press F5 now, or is it gone? It's gone. Good. So let's start. So, first of all, let's talk about you, because we talk enough about me, as they say. So how will this information be useful to you? Okay, it will allow you to do different things. One is it will allow you to sell more games, and it will also motivate you, perhaps, to see things in a different optic, so that you can see the opportunities that are coming to you. It will also allow you, of course, to get to more people, to expand your markets, to understand how all the pieces fit together so that you're able to attract a wider market with your games. It will also, of course, allow you to understand how the changes may affect you at a personal level, but also the sector and the industry that you work in. And it will allow you to take advantage of this opportunity that we're going to be discussing here. Okay? Let's see. Why should you know this? Okay. To design better games, to avoid being left behind, to achieve financial independence, because indeed, whether you realize it or not, there's a huge opportunity. In fact, I was thinking when I was coming here that I have to tell you that if you are game developers, you are the mini gods of the future. So I have to say, wow, I'm honored that you're here today, because you're going to play a very, very important and crucial role in society as we go forward. So let's raise your self-esteem, because you are more important than you think. Now, this is a quote that I really like, and it reflects that it's very, very easy to make people interact or do things in order to gain some kind of advantage related to their ego. As you will see, we're going to be mixing here the things that are my specialty, because I'm a subconscious behaviorist as well. So it's very important that you understand the psychology of what you're doing, not only the technical side of it. So where you are today, possibly, when a stereotypical game developer may be today, is making games for others, working for the top companies or trying to work for them. And it's kind of the dream, right? To work for a big company that will allow us to explore and express our creativity in the best possible way. But that may not be the best way forward, as we're going to be discussing here, okay? Now, what's so special about games? First of all, let's talk about games from a psychological perspective. Let's define what a game is and what people get out of a game. So, a game is a vehicle to provide pleasure to the human brain. We can define it in many, many ways, but basically for me that's what a game is. A game allows us to feel better with ourselves, to compare ourselves with others, to achieve something that perhaps we cannot achieve in the everyday physical world. This pleasure can be channeled to change behavior. And of course this is very important, and here's where we start to get into the deeper interesting stuff regarding games here. Okay, any system humans are part of can be gamified for better results. You will excuse me if gamified is not spelled in the proper way, but the corrector wasn't correcting it, and I wasn't sure if it's one M or two M's. But anyway, so the point is that these three things here are very important, and I want you to remember them because they're embedded in everything that we're going to be discussing later here. Now, what happens is that the human brain is naturally addicted to pleasure. Okay? We want to avoid pain, and we want to go to pleasure at all costs, almost, despite logical reasoning. And this is also very important for us to understand, and it reflects on why you are so important in society as we go forward. Now, in many cases, like I say, the outside world is not fun. And in fact, the outside world, we can see as I was coming here today, I was like, yeah, I'm going to Brighton. It's cloudy. Not good, right? So it's not only that it's cloudy, but the economy is going down. There are so many stressors out there. People want gateways that will lead them to any kind of pleasure, because the same primitive drives that we have always had are still there with us today. Now, today we have, and it's very important that you know, a convergence of several different actors in the marketplace, let's say, working in order to make games more addictive, in order to, in most cases, sell more stuff to these people that are looking for pleasure, that are you and me, everyone. Now, these companies are working, psychologists, corporations, doing MRI scans, heat maps, so that they can see what people are doing. And they're also studying not only the psychology of addiction itself from the very beginning, building from the ground up from what we know about the human mind, but also studying how to make absolutely everything more addictive to us. Okay? Regardless of where exactly you fall in that system that is making people addicted to games, it's very important that you understand the whole picture of what's going on there. This is being pursued very aggressively out there. Now, there are also very interesting advances in technology that are getting us closer, particularly in the field of neuroscience, together coupled with neuromarketing, that are getting us closer to understand not only much better how the stressors and the pleasure centers of the brain work, but also in real time how to exactly target our games to make people more addicted to them. Now, if you need proof of addiction's power, I guess not, but I will give you just a few examples. Okay? You know about these ones, easy to remember, everybody knows this kind of addiction to these particular games. But then let's go to other things. For example, Facebook itself, the website, is a game in itself in which we go for the anticipation, the pleasure of the anticipation of the positive stimuli that we're going to get there. Yes? So it's very, very important for us to realize that games are everywhere. And that's why you're going to be so important going forward. Yes? Now, Tinder is another example. I was reading an article the other day. The way that Tinder works, for example, has been, and it is being thoroughly researched. In fact, I know it for sure because I was reading it in an article the other day. I can't remember what the article was about. But I think that, yeah, it was an article about online dating. and they were saying that they were interviewing one of the people about the changes in relationships. They were not talking about gaming, they were talking about relationships, and they were asking the people of Tinder what do they think about how Tinder is changing relationship between the genders. And the guy from Tinder was saying, I don't know, what I care the most about is how many matches a person has to do in order to get addicted to the application. So that, for me, was really interesting and something that I wanted to remember to tell you guys. That tells you how the corporate world is going straight to the point of, I want your brain, I want it addicted, I want it coming back for more. Regardless of what you think, regardless if it's good or bad for you. And at the moment, I'm just exploring, I'm just exposing information for you. I don't want to bias your thinking in one way or another, but I will let you make your decisions as we go forward. Now, games are everywhere, and this is the last example. If you are a business owner today and you do Google AdWords advertising or you do Facebook advertising, you will see, if you're familiar with that. Anyone here is familiar with Facebook advertising? Raise your hand. A few of you guys. Okay, so you will understand the example. The way the systems work is very similar to a game, and it's as addictive as a game. So my point is that everyone in society is addicted to some kind of game in one way or another, and therefore the coming gaming revolution will use your talents in order to expand and build upon that. Now, when we put the basic instincts that lead us to addiction together with the physical interfaces that allow us to interface with that computer, with that system, with that game, and we add to the mixture sex, then there's nothing that can stop that addiction from happening, because sex is the most powerful human drive. And this is happening more and more. So we're getting not only the mental positive stimuli that we used to get from games before, but now with this kind of physical interfaces to interact with the game, to interact with the system, we are getting even more addicted because they're pressing exactly the buttons that are the most powerful in our subconscious mind. So let's talk about the coming revolution and why this is important. This is the revolution of a lifetime, and is based, the way I see it, in 4 pillars. So one is artificial intelligence. You may be most familiar with Watson at the moment. Cognitive research, all the research that is being done in neuromarketing and neuroscience, as I say, and the psychology of addiction. Fast broadband hyperconnectivity, the ability to be connected in a three-dimensional and audiovisual way wherever we are is very, very important. And finally, mobile and wearables. When you put all those 4 together, and that's my point, you have something really powerful, like the world has never seen before. Some of you may be working on a specific niche, on a particular game, on a specific part of the industry, but it's interesting to take a step back and see everything that is going on out there, and when you put all these things, all of these 4 things together, there's no escape. They can make us addicted to any game they want if they combine these things appropriately. Now, artificial intelligence engines, what do they allow us to do? They can allow us to do high-scale, high-speed data parsing, instantaneous answers to whatever we input in the machine, and it allows us to extract from the content that the user shares with that artificial intelligence engine, whatever we want to extract from there. So as we feed that back into the system, we can be constantly improving the system. Now, we have always had more or less sophisticated games before, but my point here is that artificial intelligence engines take it to a whole new level. It's faster, it's more powerful, and it will allow us to feed all that information back to the machine in a much more sophisticated way. Now, fast hyperconnectivity, if we are everywhere through our mobiles or whatever mobile devices we will be wearing in the future, we have more opportunities to use these things. So we also have that speed allows for more realistic designs, and naturally, if we want more realistic virtual reality worlds, we definitely need faster connections. We were talking before about the speed of the connection in order to play a YouTube video today, a few moments ago. that shouldn't happen. In the future, this is happening less and less, and we will have to worry less and less about such a thing. Now, when we talk about mobile and wearables, we can see that these are the main points that we should bear in mind when we talk about that. They're always on, they're everywhere, and most importantly, they're interacting with the physical world and feeding the system back with information that is extremely powerful for the system to know, so that it can tailor in real time the game for you. This is very important, and of course we've seen models of this before, but now with all these physical interfaces that are coming out into the market, it's happening really quickly, really quickly. Now, augmented reality also is one thing where we are going to see a lot of this. So, we talk about the 4 pillars, but we can look at it in a different way as well. When we put these 3 things together, this is the panacea. This is utopia for corporations that are gamifying their system of any kind as they interact with the public. We have mobile, we have virtual reality, and we have payment systems that have matured enough so that those games can be monetized today. This is very important, and we're going to look what I mean now, because at the beginning we have first mass market computers. They were a bit complicated, so only niche and hobbits could use them. The other day I was hearing the audiobook of the life of Steve Jobs and Apple, and you know what I'm talking about. The first Apple computer was almost like, I don't know, a typewriter or something. Then you had the second wave in the 80s, and you had home computers, and it was mainly for people that were tech-aware. It was the times starting also in the early 90s, when people were using them for research and things like that. But then in the 2000s, this is what we're going to, the mass market computers getting everywhere easily, cheaply, and virtual reality being added on top of that, creating more and more interesting and engaging worlds. Now, the payment revolution is very, very important, because the same thing that we have seen the evolution of computing in 3 different areas there, with mass market, tech adopters and the other thing, then here we have that there's also happening a revolution in the means of payment. And this is very important, because at the beginning, for so long now, since the beginning, the other day I was in Croatia, and I was in a museum, and they had all these little coins, and it was interesting to see that humans have been using coins for more than 2,000 years. So at the beginning we had cash, then we had credit cards, and then we had digital currencies. The main one at the moment is Bitcoin. Most probably it will be the leader for quite some time. Now the interesting thing is that we could see that these different payments allow people different levels of engagement, because they were posing certain obstacles to the expenditure of money. For example, when we exchange notes, physical notes, cash notes, our subconscious mind understands that we're losing something. So we are less likely to spend money if we are seeing it, if we are touching it. Do you get my point, guys? Yeah. Okay, so then cash was mainly local, with local currencies at that time, and we could assign, because of what I just explained, a level of potential expenditure with cash of 1. Let's say that is a mathematical factor there. But then when we go to credit cards, something interesting happens. They require banking access, so that is an obstacle. A lot of people in the world don't have banking access, therefore they cannot have credit cards. Therefore we cannot monetize electronic systems or games to them, because they don't have a credit card. But on the other hand, a lot more people have it, more than ever before. So the impulse buy factor is number 2 there. Then we go to Bitcoin digital currencies, and that is another important thing. Digital currencies are even easier to spend than Bitcoin. When people realize, than credit cards, when people realize that they just have it in the wallet, and it's just little numbers, and they just press a button, and they purchase something, that will create really powerful, strong levels of expenditure in general. Money spent on all sorts of things, including games. This opens a whole new world to the world of games, and particularly monetizing games, any kind of game, both for corporations and for you guys with your independent little game, if you have one. Now, I don't know if you remember this. Anyone has seen this movie? It's the movie Idiocracy, and this character was very funny. So that was just to remind you that this is very, very different to what has happened before. And if we are able to crack digital currencies, when we put them together with games and gaming systems, then the money flows much, much faster than before. Now, what are the main trends, sociological trends mainly, fueling this opportunity? Okay, so we have a whole generation of narcissistic people that have been growing up for some time now. They're the adults now. They're unfortunately even having children. I'm not, of course, saying that they shouldn't. Everyone should if that's their choice. But I mean, a lot of people are not ready. They're addicted to status, okay? Mini celebrities, the Instagram phenomena. You can see there a lot of girls that want to be like Kim Kardashian. You can see a lot of guys that want to be like, what is it, Dan Bilzerian or something? You don't want to know who that guy is. But anyway, touch button payment makes spending much easier than ever before. And you have relationships decline. People are not getting married. They're not having children. They're not going to live together. So there's a lot more single people there living on their own. Perfect market to market games to them. They're bored. They want to do something. They're going to get increasingly addicted to games that give them the pleasure of feeling that they're important and that they're acknowledged, and basically work with all the basic instincts that all humans have. Finally, corporations and the state, usually in general, prefer people distracted because that makes them spend more money. So corporations in general in the Western world, only in my view, will do whatever they can to keep the status quo, because if you have two households instead of one, then those two people living separately will spend more and buy more of your products than if you were supporting, for example, traditional family values. So interesting things to think about there. So, sociological trends, some more there. Unemployment, therefore, more people having more time at home. You have, in the future also, the robotic home assistants will come and will be ready to assist us more and more, so we won't even have to move from home, and that is connected with food delivery. Everything will come directly to us. So if you saw the movie Wall-E and you remember the people sitting on the sofas there, well, that's kind of what we're going towards. But at the same time, therefore, you're going to have less tourism, and this is a really interesting trend as well, that we're going towards. As virtual reality develops more and more, we're going to see less real tourism of people going to places as they can travel from where they are. But that is interesting because it leaves people with more time to play games, for example. If the universal basic income becomes a reality, it will be a very complicated road to get there. Then we will see more of that, and that will also reinforce those trends. Okay, guys, we're just about 60% of this presentation. Are you still awake? Yeah? Are you enjoying it, or should I just shut up? You're okay? Yes? Yep. Good, good. Okay, so where's the opportunity? Everywhere. And this is my point here. Now, for you guys, as you can see, even the government is waking up to the importance of games and gamification. And when the governments get it, come on, everyone is doing it, okay? So, you can see also different games, and you particularly, because you're a specialist on this particular niche, may know more what is going on with this kind of things than me. But as you know, possibly, this is the efforts to bring gamification to everyday realities, to task management, to email management, to things that open up a whole new level there for games. Now, this is you guys, and it's a game that I invented. I have a fertile imagination. It's not very good sometimes to have it, but my point is that when you put all these things together, you have the physical interface, you have the virtual reality that makes you feel that you're there. Well, you can create a very interesting game for this guy that seems extremely intelligent, right? So here, I don't know if you can read it, but it says 76 hotties done. And I leave it up to you to understand what that means. But there's a ranking there and everything. Now, as you go forward and you interact with the machine and with the interfaces, you gain more points. But then you have the opposite. You became addicted to that. So now you need the opposite game. So you can also have a game in which the physical interface will tell where your hand is at all times and how fast it is moving. So based on that, we can also apply gamification techniques to the total opposite direction. And this is a very important point. I may be sounding like a clown here, but I'm giving you some really important insights on how everything comes together. This is more serious than it seems. My point is that you can use the same gamification techniques in whatever direction you want to go. So you can use them for good or you can use them for bad. And this is very important and very powerful. Now, lots of different sectors and lots of different examples on how and where gamification, oh, that was too fast, gamification can be used. Okay? But my point here is that you have a whole field to explore on many different areas in which gamification can be applied. And the important thing is that corporations will realize this and will need more of your services as we go forward. For example, education, as we've seen before, but also government can gamify a lot of the interactions that we have with them. They're trying to do it in a very primitive way, let's say, when they give you tax incentives or they give you tax returns or things like that. That's nothing compared to what you can do when the psychologists, the neuromarketers, and the neuroscientists come and interact with you together with you guys that can do super amazing games. Very interesting things can be done there. Now, on the health sector, we can have games for all sorts of things. Now, the important thing is that we can have the feedback, like I say, of the physical interface. This is something that we didn't have before, that is coming so cheap, and this is what makes a real difference. We cannot underestimate the power of your toothbrush telling the machine exactly when, how, and how many you did. We cannot underestimate the power of your wristband telling the machine what you're doing, where, and how. So, psychology, we can also change habits with games, because of course we can use them for good things as well. So, once again, there's a great fielder. What is that? Is that music? Oh, that's interesting.
Next door.
Ah, it's next door. Oh, it's the apocalypse music. They're depressed because there's nobody. So, then you have rewards for self-traders. You have lots of interesting fields in which you can apply your skills, guys, and in which your skills will be very much needed. Now, when you have robots, and robots come and they are cheap enough, then you have some really interesting things when you combine games with the physical avatar of us, that is a robot. So you have one more level there. You can gamify all the interactions that humans have with each other or with a system, but you can also gamify all the interactions that the representative robot have with other robots. So today we play in video games, and we have I have a friend that is quite addicted to this FIFA video game, and he plays a lot. But anyway, the thing is that you are seeing there, and he's playing against another team, but only on a screen. But it will be very interesting to see the possibilities when we have a physical interface here that can run, that can do things, that we can send to places, that can do tasks for us, and that can achieve and get rewards and prizes for us. Interesting there as well, some food for thought. So where do you position yourself for this future that we're coming to? Okay, these are the dangers. Okay, as we look at the whole picture here, this is the scary part of it all. When we combine the very deep understanding of human psychology and how to make people addicted with authoritarian governments that are very interested in limiting our freedoms, then we have a problem there. When you have virtual reality, I don't know if you saw the movie Clockwork Orange. Do you see it? Do you remember? Do you know the scene that I'm talking about? When they do the indoctrination of this person, kind of rehabilitation, they put the person that has misbehaved socially, they put him in front of a cinema screen, and they keep his eyes open, and they make him watch certain things to reprogram his mind. Now, I'm a hypnotherapist, so I can tell you that that will definitely work, because the power of images together with sounds is incredibly powerful. Just seeing it on an image. But if with virtual reality you feel that you're inside there, the power is 100 times greater. So if we use that power for good, for example, creating games that send people to beautiful places in the world, we make people happy. But you can also be used to create some really horrible things. So it's important to think about that as well. Now, all the nice things that can happen as we go, as our homes are connected, whoever gains access to that kind of connections can do some scary things with that. And unfortunately, it is my theory, or one of my theories, that as we go forward and virtual reality improves, you guys are doing a great job at that, and this is going quite fast, this world will become extremely addictive. So we will see less and less people living on this side of virtual reality. More and more people will tend to migrate. Because as it becomes more and more difficult to project yourself and to enjoy what we humans are made to do, as the job market frustrates us, for example, it's much easier to go to the game and get the pleasure there. And as that game becomes much more real and we feel that we're already there, why would we spend time here? Remember what I told you before, the brain is addicted to pleasure. So more and more people will go to the virtual world. That's a little bit of a problem there. The Idiocracy movie also reminds us of the dangers of rewarding negative behaviors to benefit a corporation or someone else. I have the impression that some corporate interests in the future may have an intent or interest on doing that with people in general. And eventually, as our brains connect to these systems, we can also be controlled eventually in a few years' time in one way or another. I don't know if you guys are aware that we are already able to, for example, change, modify certain memories on mice today. We are able to modify by interacting electrically with certain parts of the brain. We are able to modify where a mouse is going, walking physically. So once we start there, it's just a matter of time before we get directly into our brains. Is this interesting what I'm telling you? We're just about to finish. Are you enjoying it so far? Yeah? Good. So, now, this is your future. Your future can be, you are right in the middle, and I congratulate you for that. Or maybe it's just destiny, maybe it's luck or bad luck. But the thing is that you are right in the middle of all this coming gaming revolution that we're going to be exploring. You have the financial elite, you have corporations, you have the government, and they all have an interest in using technology and using you guys to influence the consumer. You have to think about that. You have to be aware. You have a public responsibility. And it's very, very important because I know some of you guys personally, and I know that some of you have the tendency, because you are in love with technology, because you are passionate about it in many cases, like I'm passionate about what I do, you may tend to see only what you are working on, and you forget the repercussions of what you're doing in the whole society. So today is a wake-up call. It's very important for you to remember that, because if you don't do this properly, this is what you're going to lead people towards. And this is serious. This is not what we want. But wait, there's more. Now, this is the best part, that you also have an opportunity to apply different factors in your decision making, to have different priorities, to use technology to make the world a better place. It's in your hands. You're going to have a very important role to play and a very important responsibility there. If you choose this side, then we can go towards this future. And that is the future that eventually most humans would like to have. But it's very important for you to realize that there are very powerful forces that are playing against us getting to this future here. So it's very important that you're not fooled to collaborate with those things. Just saying. Now, how to take advantage of this opportunity at a commercial and personal level. Okay, how to be the next Facebook of the gamification trend. How to ride the wave in the best possible way. Okay, you have to understand that the winners in this field will be the hybrid companies that understand all the aspects of the coming revolution. Social media gamification, they're good at marketing and they're good at the neuro research. When you put people when you put that kind of people all together in one company, that company will be the next Google in this very important nascent industry. Now, consolidation happens in all fields. So it will also happen on this. So the race is on. It's a matter of time before the next Google comes and it's the Google of gamification, I mean, a similar company, and it's the whole of the market and leaves on only the breadcrumbs behind. So it's very important that you guys start to realize that you have this amazing power, but you need to get together with people that have the other talents in order to create something powerful and great and better. Okay? Second place is a state of night, like they used to say. Okay, so your future plan, create. This is talking about what do you do with your project, with a company. Dare to innovate, but not only dare to innovate, dare to bring it to the market. Create, optimize, market, sell. See if you get a profit, if the idea is good enough, and if all works properly, rinse and repeat. Sell it to a bigger company. Never go more than 50 employees, because then you get bureaucracy and a lot of things, but that's another topic anyway. But my point is that there are lots of opportunities for you here, guys, if you have the know-how, to get together with people that can help you to take this to the market very fast and sell companies for millions, if not billions of dollars. Okay? In any case, your most important skill, the most important skill that you have to master in order to take financial advantage of these trends that I just discussed here today. Do you know which one it is? I want you to, don't be afraid if you get it wrong, don't worry, but I'm going to ask you, just give me, what do you think that is the most important skill that you need to have in order to take advantage of these coming trends that are coming? What do you think? Because maybe you can teach me something. Anybody wants to say something? Sorry, I can't hear you. No, you didn't say anything. Okay, so the most important one is the one that you should be developing already, that you may have already also a little bit forgot to do, which is to learn to sell. Learn to sell and persuade. Learn to do what I'm doing today here. Today I'm selling you something. I'm selling you an idea. I'm selling you a vision. I'm selling you a project. I'm selling you a possibility or a belief that you can do a certain thing. What I'm doing today is very important that you guys learn to do it. Because if you have the technical know-how together with the ability to persuade people effectively, nothing can stop you. You're going to be amazing. Okay? So, what you have learned, reasons to pay attention to all the coming changes, how you may fit into it all, sectors that are full of opportunities, the risk of different strategies, and where to start. Now, the future is in your hands. You can choose to make the world a better or worse place, but either way, you're going to be at the center of it all, so start thinking about it now. I'm Javier Marti. If you send a tweet to @Javier Marti, you can request these slides if you want them, and that barcode there will take you to my website, which is javiermarti.co.uk. That's all I have to say. I think that I'm still on time, so we're going to go through a few questions. How many minutes do we have?
6 minutes.
6 minutes of questions. So guys, do you have any questions? Come on. Make it happen. Any questions, anybody? Yeah?
I just got a...
I think they're giving you a microphone.
Hiya. I've worked on quite a few games that step outside the game boundary, and I suppose I want to challenge a couple of assumptions. The first one is the initial thing, the definition of a game, as basically about pleasure, and I would contest that because there's a number of examples of games that I would say engagement, yes, but just like any form of art or creativity, you watch a documentary on Auschwitz, it's not necessarily going to be pleasurable, but it may engage you, it may make you think, and I think games are in that space now, they're not always just about fun. And then the second thing is, as a games designer, I'm always slightly worried that people see games as some kind of magic wand they can wave in a marketing issue or an engagement issue, and it itself resolves it.
Sorry, I didn't understand, and I want to understand perfectly what you're saying. Can you explain better that second point, please?
My worry is that I think a lot of people outside gaming see games as some kind of magic wand they can wave at a problem, and it may solve it. And while I do think games definitely have tools to bring to helping with problems, they in themselves are not some kind of magic bullet that's going to fix things. Some problems are just complicated problems and require lots of solutions. So I guess I'm just interested, just to kind of cast some caution to the kind of points made about how powerful some of these tools could be or are.
Sure. I think that your second point is just a reflection. It's just an opinion. It's not a question. So I have nothing to say to that. But regarding some people thinking that games are magic wand and all that, I really don't know what most people think or what the kind of people that you're in contact with will think about games or how they express that to you. But the first point I think that was very interesting, which is you're saying that of course there's an artistic side of games, if I understand properly, right? Or there are other reasons, engagement, social interaction, why we do games or why we want to play games. Is that correct? Am I understanding?
Yeah, the definition of games is broader than just fun.
Sure, of course. This is a 45 minutes presentation. I have to go very fast over a lot of important and interesting concepts, and we're not going in depth into any of them. So I'm going to the most basic definition of a game, okay? But of course there are many other reasons to play a game. But it's very interesting to see as well that, you know what, even if it's a very artistic game or it allows us to interact in a different way, it's giving us pleasure. Maybe when we watch the documentary about Auschwitz, it's giving us the psychological pleasure of feeling educated, of feeling connected with history, of learning something else. So we're not going to debate that point, but it's also giving us a kind of pleasure. So we can make different kind of games, but in the end of the day, they're giving us pleasure. Even when people watch horror movies, right? They're getting pleasure from there. So my point stands, and your point stands as well. Also. Okay, any other question? A couple more questions? No? Yeah, one there? Let's go.
Hey. So you mentioned, like, as game developers, like, we'll have a choice as to whether to work for either corporations and governments or to work for education and healthcare.
Yes. Not all corporations are evil, but...
well, yeah. Evil corp. Again, I guess this is a bit of a challenge, but I don't think it's a straightforward choice, right? Because one of those areas has money and is able to pay people's wages, and education and healthcare typically doesn't have the money to support these sorts of things.
Not only don't have the money, but education and healthcare depend on the government, and they're way behind, so they don't get it. So of course they're not going to send the resources there to pay you properly, guys. So of course the temptation to work for the evil corporates is very strong. Is that a question or just a comment?
Yeah, I guess just a kind of comment or a question on whether you see. I mean, you stated before that we have this choice, right? And it's up to us to make that choice. I'm wondering whether you think we actually do have that choice or not.
Yes, we all do. I believe that people in the Western world today have a lot of different ways to choose how they live their lives and how they feel, how they live their lives according to their ethical values. So my point is, I'm just reminding you, there may be a point, guys, where you get, when you are aware of what you're doing and you don't like it, and it would be a good point there to say, you know what, I prefer to go to Thailand and to live on $15 a week, but I don't want to be part of this. That's just my point. It was just a comment.
Makes sense. Move to Thailand.
Okay? Nothing else? Excellent. So I'm Javier Marti. Thank you very much for coming here today. And I hope that